All right, did you know that we have 6 trig functions? So we start off with sine, cosine, and tangent, but we actually have 3 more. These are called reciprocal functions, and so you're going to have the reciprocal function of sine, so that is called cosecant. And that is equal to, it's a reciprocal function, so we're going to reciprocate the sign. So hypotenuse over opposite. And we could abbreviate this. Instead of saying cosecant, we could say secant of theta. Okay, and the next one is secant. So secant, which we're going to abbreviate as secant, like this. So secant of theta is equal to the reciprocal of cosine, so that's going to be hypotenuse over adjacent, and the reciprocal of tangent is cotangent, and that is going to be equal to, so that's the abbreviation, cotangent, COT, is equal to the reciprocal of the tangent, which is hypotenuse over opposite. So again, these are called reciprocal functions. Do not call them identity or inverse functions because that's something else. And we're going to go ahead and do this. So we're going to go ahead and draw a triangle. Again, this triangle would be given. And we're going to find all 6 trig functions. So I'm going to go ahead and start off with cosine, sine, and tangent. So remember that's SOHCAHTOA. So cosine is equal to adjacent over hypotenuse. So the adjacent to that angle right here is 4. And then the hypotenuse is 5. Sine is opposite over hypotenuse. So that's going to be 3 over 5. And then tangent is opposite, which is 3, over adjacent, which is 4. Okay, so now remember this was secant of theta, cosecant, and then cotangent. So all you do is you flip the fraction on the top. So 5 over 4, 5 over 3, 4 over 3. So you just flip it. That would be the reciprocal. So you are just going to need to memorize which one goes with which. The way I like to memorize, so cotangent and tangent, those ones are pretty easy to memorize for me. But the way I memorize these other ones is they're opposite. They start off with opposite letters. So C and S, and then S and C. So that's the way I memorize it. All right, so this next one, let's go ahead and draw another triangle here. Okay, so here we have our triangle. Again, we're going to start off with our basics. So sine of theta, cosine of theta, and then tangent of theta. So cosine, remember SOHCAHTOA. So sine is equal to opposite over hypotenuse. So that's going to be 7 over the square root of 133. And then remember, we don't like to have radicals in the denominator, so we're going to go ahead and rationalize the denominator. So this would be our answer. And then we're going to go ahead and do the same thing for cosine. So that's going to be adjacent, which is 8 over square root of 113. And then we're going to go ahead and rationalize the denominator. And then tangent of theta is equal to opposite, which is 7 over 8. Okay, so now we're going to do the reciprocals. So remember, sine starts with s, so its reciprocal is going to start with c, because that's going to be cosecant. And then the other one is going to be secant, and then cotangent. All right, so let's start off with cotangent. That one's the easier one. You just flip it. And then let's go to secant. So for secant, you're going to want to look at the original thing that I set up. So it was 8 over the square root of 113. I'm going to go ahead and flip that over. So 113, square root of 113 over 8. And that's going to make it so that I don't have any radicals in the denominator. If I flip this over, I'm going to go ahead and have a radical in the denominator, and it's going to make it more complicated. So same thing over here, we're going to go ahead and flip this one. So square root of 113 over 7. And so these would be our answers. So we have 6 answers here.